But we begin in Newfoundland and Labrador, where Premier Andrew Furey announced the evacuation order for Labrador City has been partially lifted. The city has been under a wildfire threat. CBC's Albert Delatala is tracking this story for us today. So, Albert, break down today's announcement for us.
Sure, Linda. Well, yeah, it's news that people have been waiting for over a week now. Andrew Furey announcing that partial lifting, as you said, of that evacuation order for Labrador City, and that will take place over the next 48 hours. That means that essential workers and their families, they'll be able to return to the community, and then come Monday at noon, the full evacuation order will be lifted. It's set to be lifted, and the Premier, he's crediting the work of firefighters for really getting control of that fire, those causing that smoke that you see right there, along with improving weather conditions leading to the situation they're at right now. Here's more from the Premier.
Over the last few days, we've been fortunate enough to have boots on the ground, combined with good weather and good fire suppression activity from the air with our water bombers, looking towards the predictive modeling and the weather patterns that are coming. That it is safe to say that the probability of risk to the town of Lab City and Wabush is very low. And as a result, we're in the good position today to be able to partially lift the evacuation order.
So this comes just over a week after that evacuation order was issued for Labrador City, and that was because of that rapidly spreading wildfire to the northwest of the community. That meant that about 9,600 people had to make their way out of the community, many going to Happy Valley Goose Bay, and that was all because of that fire of concern that we showed you before. And that fire now not entirely out, but it is considered under control. Here's more from the Premier about why he's making that decision now.
The expertise and experience that they have allow them to create a model that is specific for Newfoundland and Labrador based on information and data sets from around the country that allow them to be fairly accurate in their predictive modeling. But the real thing that gave us the most confidence is having 60 people on the ground looking at the fire on the ground and being able to identify, despite the size of it, despite the size of the impacted area, the hot spots themselves.
So good news for sure for the people who've been out of their homes for this whole week. What do people need to know now about this evacuation?
Yeah, so for the next 48 hours, that's kind of the critical period where essential workers can return. That means healthcare workers, grocery store workers, and that will allow things like the emergency department to reopen, laboratories, diagnostic imaging. 200 or so healthcare workers had to evacuate the area because of this. So obviously they are critical for those operations. Grocery stores as well, they need their workers to reopen, so they'll be restocking shelves for when that full evacuation order is lifted. There is a list that people can refer to if they're wondering whether they are considered essential, and there is a number that we were showing on the screen, 709-729-3830 that people can call to confirm. And that list, by the way, it's the list of essential workers that is supplied by the employer. So that's how they're coming up with that list. As well, the route back, Route 500, it will be patrolled by police as well as the Labrador Ground Search and Rescue. They'll be controlling traffic and also ensuring that only essential people do return during the next 48 hours. So something to keep in mind. And once again, Linda, Monday at noon, that's the time when the full evacuation order is set to lift, and we'll of course be following developments up until then.
Thanks for this. That's the CBC's Albert Delatala from our newsroom.